The Chiefs have one of the most disruptive defensive players in the NFL year after year, and Chris Jones needs some help along the defensive line, specifically at defensive tackle. We know the Chiefs are going to be looking to bring in some guys to fill out that roster slot because they don't have a ton for the future. Is this guy the future next to Chris Jones? I know what you're thinking. Maybe he's not the perfect one tech split for the Chiefs, but I have some information for you guys you might be interested in. Let's go ahead and dig into Derrick Harmon out of Oregon here on RGR. Welcome into the RGR Football Channel, everybody. My name is Daniel Harms, Senior Film Analyst, and we are going to dive into Derrick Harmon's tape today, Wednesday, as we do every single week. Please, if you guys are new to the channel, hit that sub button, hit the like, help us out. Granted, I'll try to earn a like from you guys. That's my job here today, is to go through the film, teach myself, show you guys a little bit of what I know, what he's really good at, and maybe you guys learn some things along the way. So let's go ahead and jump in, because at the end of the day, what the Chiefs need, again, is a defensive tackle that can do just about everything for them. And Derrick Harmon comes in showcasing double team anchor. He does not get moved vertically upfield very often. You see him again right there with that little body turn. So he initiates contact, right? He comes in, hands in. You kind of see the knee bend right there. He kind of moves his shoulders out of the way, try to negate or navigate himself in between those two blocks. So for a guy who's 6'5", 313 pounds, played his first 3 years at Michigan State and transferred to Oregon his last year, what we see is a guy who does everything well from a run defense perspective. And then again, you can move him all along the defensive line. He played everywhere from 0, a little bit of 0 out to 5 technique for the Oregon Ducks. And because they had a guy named Jamari Caldwell, they didn't really feel the need to put him at one tech. So you see how he's able to really just kind of force himself in between the gap there, eat up blocks, keep his second level defenders clean. Really, in Kansas City, that's one of the most important things that they're going to be asked to do, is just eat blocks. I don't care about total tackle numbers. I don't necessarily care about TFLs. I care about Drew Tranquill, and I care about Nick Bolton staying clean throughout their time, throughout the run plays, to be able to navigate and do what they do best. So you see there, he's got the ability to just kind of anchor in there and really execute from a run defense perspective. Here's a better angle and a look at what we talk about and what means the kickstand technique and why he's able to anchor so well against double teams. Here again, a little more of a 3 tech over the guard's outside shoulder. And you're going to see that knee bend, all right? This is the kickstand technique, and it's executed very well. He is one of the best defensive tackles at consistently executing this, and that's why his floor is so high as an NFL defender. Honestly, I was very surprised and more impressed that everyone talks about his ability to get in between gaps and shoot gaps and get in the backfield. I was far more impressed with his ability to eat blocks. And obviously, you want to see the linebacker kind of come into this gap right here initially. You've got a force defender coming down here from the safety, and the handoff to the running back who just kind of navigates his way, right? He just kind of comes through here and is in open space. You want to see Bosa, number 2 right there, actually take note of understanding where this force defender is coming from. An 8 right here should have contain on the quarterback. Number 3 has outside contain as well. So Bosa really should be kind of just hanging out right here, because you're free. You've got 2 guys right here. And then even if this this blocker comes off to Bosa here, we've already seen that Harmon's not going to be and not going to have an issue getting over here, disengaging and doing that. I will say from time to time, as a disengager, he is a tad slow, but what we see again is just the ability to eat blocks, that kickstand technique, the knee bend, and being able to eat up some blocks from double teams all the time is really one of the most important things that the Chiefs really do need, especially with the run game coming back in the NFL right now. You have to be able to keep your linebackers upright and able to see what's going on. So I think everything from a run defensive perspective you see from Harmon has pretty good translatable qualities to the NFL. I circled the wrong person. My apologies, guys. Right here is Harmon, not 52. One of the only real gripes against the run that I have is that his pad level can get too high at times. And what that means is, again, hips are too high. He's not as coiled as you want. He's not up underneath the blocker. So he can get moved really easily. Again, if you see someone come across, you have a guard right here kind of pushing down on his hips. So that lateral anchor isn't always 100% of the time effective. And that's only because when he gets off the football, he will just kind of stand up, right? You see 58 is a little more hunched. His hips are down. He's got more of a wide base. And honestly, I think it's because when Harmon does not consistently get off the ball on time, his base becomes a little bit narrow. And what that means is the feet get too close together. So the hips, they also come up, right? If your feet are farther apart, your hips can stay down. So his base gets a little bit too narrow. Now, right there, he's trying to like work his feet back underneath him. But from time to time, you'll see him get let off the ball late. And then that contributes to his poor pad level and then hip sync with his narrow base. So that's really one of the only complaints that I really have against the run for Derrick Harmon. Because again, when you're able to kind of move across the defensive line and do what you have to do from a run defensive perspective and from a physical standpoint, I think that he's very good. And again, this is really where I think he showcases his hand usage and ability, not just to be physical at the point of attack, but do what linebackers do, right? If you're in a one-on-one situation, what are you going to be asked to do? We're going to stack and peek, right? So extend your arms. We know he's long. He's got about 33 plus inch arms. So he's got that ability there. Maybe he's closer to 34. I don't have the number right in front of me. That's on me. But overall, you see the ability to be able to move, right? And find and peek, stack, shed, peek, and then locate the football, the ball carrier, and then again, disengage right there. You see he's able to do all of that in a one-on-one situation. So he has real power at the point of attack with his hands. He can extend, he can find the football, he peeks around the blockers very well. And then when he is in those one-on-one situations, I think he disengages very quickly, and he's able to do that and close on the ball carrier. So all in all, I think this culminates in a player who comes into the NFL right now and will be an impact run defender, not just anywhere on the field, but also in the red zone. You can put him wherever you need to. Again, because they had Jamari Caldwell, a guy who was very good against the run in his own right, they didn't feel the need to really put Harmon in there. But again, there's that shoulder and hip turn where you see him try to get a knife into the gap, right? That's another useful, very useful tool when he gets off the football properly and he's able to really wedge himself in between gaps. You really do see that. Coming from Michigan State, he lost about 10-15 pounds, but he didn't lose any of his anchor, his ability and the technique that he plays with, because he just knew how to do that. So you see, again, he's in between the tackle and the guard, and then he's going to just get off the ball and wedge himself in that gap. And this is what you want to do. Ideally, you want to turn both the guard and the tackle to you, and then keep your linebackers clean so that they can flow again to the football. Second level defenders end up being, third level defenders in the red zone, but he does not get moved vertically very much. And again, there's that knee bend, that kickstand technique. He flows right into that gap as the guard's trying to get to the second level. You see, he's just an immovable force there. So anchor, he doesn't need any more sand in the pants. He's 313 pounds, and he's a guy who actually probably could still lose a little bit of weight, improve upon that first step quickness, and continue to be somebody that's a very impactful player against the run. So we see him do that all the time, and I'm really impressed. I was really impressed with his ability against the run to be able to do all those different things at a very high level. And then at the end of the day, everyone talks, like I said, everyone talks about his ability to get inside gaps, get in the backfield. I didn't notice that as much. I saw a much better run defender, a guy who's going to eat blocks and really be a problem for NFL offenses, guys, especially teams that want to run duo, inside zone, things like that. He's very good at moving laterally and staying with his blocks. So as a run defender, he's already going into the NFL with a lot of experience, and I really appreciate that. But as you guys know, we are here now. Take a little bit of a break, talk about our sponsor, Underdog. One of the most fun things that I get to do every single week is put together some pick'em slips with you guys. Last week, we went back on the winning track with my Masters pick. I was very pick'em slip. I was very happy about that, to see us get back in the win column there. So this is the NBA play-in week, right? You have a lot of different things happening. This is season on the line stuff. There's two players that I'm going to focus on today. Josh Giddey of Chicago, over the last, I don't know, couple of months since the All-Star break, when he's playing a lot more frequently, he is putting up points, rebounds, and assists. And that's something that I think with the Bulls season again on the line against Miami tonight, you're going to see him be everywhere. So this right here, 37 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. I do think he's going to be out there as much as he possibly can be, because he's a facilitator, again, a guy who gets rebounds and will also score at will. And then again, for the Dallas Mavericks, obviously trading away Luka Doncic, not having the best impact on the roster. However, Anthony Davis in another game like this, a playoff atmosphere, is going to be, one, is going to have to be the best player on the court for the Dallas Mavericks. And I do think that he can do the same exact thing in terms of getting some of those points, rebounds, and assists. So we're going to go higher on both points, rebounds, and assists for Josh Giddey at 37 and a half and Anthony Davis at 41 and a half. And you guys, it's simple as that. Make sure you go over right now and join on Underdog. Use the code RGR and you'll get up to $1,000 deposit bonus on your first deposit with them. You make a pick'em slip, you play along, or you do it on your own. It's a lot of fun to just have in the back pocket there. Underdog is a very great sponsor for us here, and we're very happy to have them aboard on RGR. So let's dive right back into the Derrick Harmon tape, because this is the player part that people really want to focus on, right? I was more surprised at his run defense, but we're going to talk now about his ability against the pass. And again, I've heard it, I've seen it all over the place from guys everywhere in the national media about Derrick Harmon's ability to get in the backfield. I wasn't as shocked. I wasn't as impressed with his ability. I thought his first step get off was marginal at best and needs improvement. When it's there, but it's very inconsistent. And you see again right here, more of a 2, closer to that 3 tech. You have him right here when he's faced with down blocks. I think this is where he's at his best in terms of identifying the play. So he gets hands on quick. That's another one of the things. He sees blocks coming very quickly. He notices where, again, we have this player is going to be pulling into the opposite side. So hand goes in there from Derrick Harmon. He locates them very high on the chest, usually in between the neck and the shoulder area, closer to that chest, and he does a very good job of extending. And again, using that power initially. I think he can use it more frequently, but there again, you see his left hand comes through, and then he's just going to swim right over. And again, the quickness with which he does identify the play. But again, the down blocks are really the things where I noticed him being able to get into the backfield as quickly. When he's faced with a one-on-one block that's the more straight line to him, he doesn't have that juice, that impact to be able to really get there. But reactive athleticism, he's very good. I noticed that one of the guys that, even though he's got a tight base at times, he's very reactive with his athleticism. He follows the football very well. You see there again, he's coming kind of a slant from right to left across the offensive lineman's face. He realizes where the ball is going, and then he just kind of spins right around into that. So again, down here, he's got good lateral agility, good lateral quickness. And again, he finds that football, right? He sees it right there, and then he's going to spin around into his right there and just get back into where the ball is going to be. Obviously, the ball comes out, not his fault. But again, it's the reactive athleticism. I think he's very good at stopping and starting his feet in terms of going left and then being able to stop and go right. You see how quickly he's able to generate movement and momentum one way to the other. So as far as reactive athleticism, to be able to identify where the football is going and then react in a certain play, I think he has that as well. And then the power in his hands definitely is there. I think he needs to use it a bit more as a pass rusher. I didn't see a ton of high-level physicality as a pass rusher, ton of speed, power, anything like that. But this is what I noticed as the most impactful thing that can be negative for Derrick Harmon in the pass game. He's very slow with his hands, which is funny because as a run defender, I think he's very quick. He gets on guards and tackles and centers very quickly. He's able to get his hands moving and being able to dislodge and locate. But as a pass rusher, I think that he's very slow in his regard. And honestly, he's got that narrow base right here where he's upright like this. Like obviously, this is a natural position to kind of run in. But as a guy who's trying to pass rush, you want to have your base a little bit more widened so you can generate. We saw him again just a clip ago where he's able to spin around and use that reactive athleticism. When you're in a narrow position like this, your body does not work as quickly. It doesn't have as much room to move and get your leg outside and then use that athleticism that he has. So I think his hips can get a bit tight in that narrow base. And you see it right there. He's more upright as a rusher where he doesn't work his hands as quickly. So again, he's outside here one-on-one with a Penn State guard, and he's just kind of trying to move laterally and doesn't really give you very much here as a pass rusher. And then very late in the rep, he pulls the arm over. I think from a tools perspective, he has a swim. He will use a spin from time to time. It's not very effective, and it's not very he doesn't use it as much, but I would love to see more the hand quickness. And then again, when he does get something right, like right here, you're going to see the rip come through, but nothing else after that. So he just runs up field with a rip, his hand right there. There's the hand, and he just keeps running. He just keeps running. There's no hand work at all. So I do think that there's upside there. He needs to use his hands a bit better and try to make his base a little less narrow as he's running through. Again, feet are very close together, very, 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 very close, and he doesn't have much of a wide, just a little bit more of a wide base. But you see that rip comes right up through, right arm comes through. That's good right there. Quick hands through, no slap, no nothing. He's just trying to close. Like, that's not going to work, especially with a narrow base and tight hips. I want to see more of a power player and using that reactive athleticism and more counters. I think he has all those in his toolbox. The plan of attack needs a lot of work right now. So I want to see more like this. I want to see more from this kind of player. This is going back to the run really quickly, but this is the physical nature with which I want to see him rush the passer. He has this in him. He has the ability again to take on players, throw them to the ground, and then just get going. I want to see the get off paired with a jab into the chest and then follow with the rip instead of just going to the rip or not really getting off the ball quickly enough. So with all those tools that he does possess, the quickness with his hands at times against the run, the physical nature, he's a very strong player. That's not a surprise. Like, we see him against the run. He's very good being able to dole out punishment and use those hands to just really stab. If you go back and watch this whole Wisconsin game, there is a 3-play sequence where he just takes his right hand and jabs it into the chest of the guard time after time after time, and he bends him up and back. I don't see enough of that as a pass rusher, but there are tools. He has some tools to work with, and that's, I think, the most important thing is especially because where you're going to be drafting a player. Sorry, wrong. That was the wrong person I highlighted. My bad. We're going to be drafting a player like Derrick Harmon. I have a second round grade on him, but that's only because he needs work as a pass rusher. And the quickness with which he gets off the football is just up and down. But this is what you want to see. Once he gets free, there's a lot to like about his ability to close. And now people are going to mention, and I'm going to mention it too, he doesn't always finish plays either. I'm leaving that part out because I want to focus on the tools. How you get there is half the work, right? I think what we see from Derrick Harmon in his hip tightness to getting down the line at more of a 5-tech, you see him get around the edge a little bit. And this is really where I think he does struggle, is this right here. If he's rushing around the tackle or on the 5 technique, more of a 4-eye, you do see his inability to get down the line. But when it's a straight line, and he can actually play like that, maybe closer to over a 1-tech and rush from that next to like a Chris Jones, I think you would see far more. And again, here he is cutting down inside to that 1-tech position. And then you see he goes left, he goes right, the hand comes over. That's the kind of hand usage that I want to see more of because he does close quickly. Tackling needs to improve as well. That's just, there's no bones about it. He has to be able to do that and be able to make that happen for him. So tools are all there. He's a very good run defender. He needs to finish plays better as a pass rusher or as a tackler in general. He needs to also work his hands more. This was, you see better, the wider base, right? We talk about his base. This one, he rushed a little bit better. It wasn't as narrow. You see, he goes left, he goes right. The base gets a little narrow right there, but then he already is clear, and then he starts to close. So that's what it is. There are flashes, and if you can do it once, you can do it again, and we can teach as a team, as a coaching staff, as what we've seen Joe Cullen and Spags work on with these guys, that can be taught from a hand perspective. So I do believe that he has all the tools to be a starter, not just in the league, but next to a guy like Chris Jones, and developed into more of a pass rush problem. But he comes in with what they desperately need, a guy who will stay as a run defender now throughout his entire career. The anchor, the tools, that kickstand technique are all very, very valuable, and he does a fantastic job of executing them every single run snap, just working on some of those get off the ball, pad level, and then working the hands more from a pass rushing counter perspective. And I think we're talking about a guy who can be very, very disruptive at the next level. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of Derrick Harmon. Again, very impressed by his run defense. Just has some work to do as a pass rusher. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit the sub button, become a member here at Rogue Nation. Have yourselves a great rest of your day.